Welcome back to another episode of GamingBolt, guys. This is Nick, and let's break down some video game sequels of 2022. 2022 is looking like one of the most packed years in gaming memory. And while there is, of course, a very good chance that a large number of games currently slated for 2022 are going to get delayed, even if a half of those come out in the coming months, it's going to be a bumper year. Of these upcoming games, many are coming off the backs of past successes, as sequels that are promising to make significant improvements over their predecessors in a variety of ways. Here, we're going to look at a few such upcoming sequels that we can't wait to get our hands on. Horizon Forbidden West. Horizon Zero Dawn was one of the best debuts we've seen for a new IP in a long time, and our hope is that Forbidden West will follow suit and emerge as an equally impressive sequel. From excellent storytelling to thrilling combat to gorgeous visuals, Forbidden West has plenty of strengths to build on, while in areas such as side quests, progression, and more, it's also looking to make some significant improvements in areas where its predecessor had a few issues. Thankfully, its launch is right around the corner, so we're not going to have to wait long to get our hands on it. Dying Light 2: Stay Human. Speaking of major sequels that are right around the corner, the road to Dying Light 2: Stay Human has been long and bumpy. Numerous delays, development issues, and long periods of silence has given rise to a healthy amount of skepticism out there for how this game will turn out. But if Techland's open-world zombie title can deliver its promises, it'll be worth keeping an eye on. With a much greater focus on RPG mechanics, a more dynamic open world that builds on the first game's excellent parkour and movement, and healthy emphasis on narrative choices, Dying Light 2: Stay Human seems to have plenty going for it. Baldur's Gate 3. Once the king of the role-playing genre, the Baldur's Gate series has been slumbering in the background for many years at this point. Fittingly enough, RPG masterminds Larian are bringing the series back with Baldur's Gate 3, and all signs point to it being well worth the wait. The game's been in early access for some time at this point, and the reception from players in that period has been almost universally positive. If Baldur's Gate 3 comes out this year and manages to maintain the same level of quality across the entirety of its runtime, it'll easily be one of the best games of 2022. Hollow Knight: SILKSONG. Team Cherry's 2017 Metroidvania masterpiece, Hollow Knight, has cemented itself in the highest rungs of the gaming pantheon at this point, so it's no surprise that the anticipation for its expansion-turned-sequel, Hollow Knight: SILKSONG, has been as high as it's been. Even with the developers having said almost nothing about the game for quite some time, that anticipation hasn't died down. Given how quiet Team Cherry has been, there's no guarantees that SILKSONG will launch in 2022, or even that we'll hear anything about it for some time. But if it does, it'll have some enormous expectations to live up to. Gran Turismo 7. Gran Turismo fans have been waiting for the new mainline numbered game in the series for a long time. Sure, Gran Turismo Sport is a solid enough game on its own, but with GT7 promising the kind of experiences that series fans haven't been able to enjoy for quite a while, it makes sense that there's quite a bit of excitement surrounding its launch. With Gran Turismo 7 launching just a few weeks from now, there isn't long left until we find out how well it'll do under the weight of those expectations. But if everything we've seen of the game so far is any indication, then it's going to do just fine. The King of Fighters 15. Fans of fighting games have been treated with some really solid new games over the last couple of years, and genre stalwart SNK is looking to keep that going with the looming launch of The King of Fighters 15. It's been a while since we got the new KOF game, but with the promises of the series trademark crunching combat, that game's healthy roster of over 36 characters at launch, with a healthy mix of new and returning faces, and sustained post-launch support, there is no shortage of reasons to be excited about The King of Fighters 15. Splatoon 3. In the relatively short time that Splatoon has been around, it's instantly shot up in people's lists of favorite franchises, and it's easy to see why it's enjoyed such a sudden and meteoric rise in fame. Splatoon 3 is set to deliver more of that addictive and unique take on multiplayer arena shooter gameplay, while it's also clear that that the game is going to have a bigger ambitions with its single-player campaign than its predecessors did at launch. With that combination, Splatoon 3 is bound to be an improvement over its already excellent precursors. So here's hoping it can stick to the landing. OXENFREE 2 – Lost Signals. Night School Studios' creepy 2016 surprise hit OXENFREE has garnered quite a fan base in the years it's been out, so it's no surprise that the announcement of its sequel was met with quite a bit of excitement. We haven't seen an awful lot of OXENFREE 2 Lost Signals just yet, so it remains to be seen just how exactly the game is going to build on its predecessor's success. But the developers are promising that that's exactly what they'll do. It's promising more creepy mysteries and another intriguing story to get lost in, while the slight glimpses we've seen of the game so far have also looked good. Hopefully, further showings will continue to look encouraging. God of War Ragnarok. One of the biggest ones, though there's plenty of those. God of War was one of the best and biggest games of the last console generation, and with the upcoming God of War Ragnarok, developer SIE Santa Monica is well positioned to deliver a similar highlight for the PS5. Surprisingly, Ragnarok is the final game in the series' Norse saga. But with that comes even more expectation. Not only is it going to have to match its predecessor in terms of storytelling, combat, scale, and more, it will also have to deliver a satisfying conclusion to what's one of the best stories we've experienced in games in some time. The sequel to The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild was a landmark moment not only for the series, but for gaming as a whole. A new Zelda game always has impossibly high expectations to live up to, but as a direct follow-up to Breath of the Wild, the next one is going to have to do so much more. The developer has been awfully tight-lipped about the game, to the extent that we don't even know what it's going to be called yet. Well, there's also a very good chance that this game doesn't launch in 2022, even though so far the developer maintains that it will. But what little we've seen of the game so far has got our curiosity piqued, to say the very least. It remains to be seen whether the sequel will be able to recapture lightning in a bottle, but we're pretty optimistic about it so far. Stalker 2 – Heart of Chernobyl. Stalker 2 has been a long time coming. In some form or another, this is a game that people have been hoping to see for over a decade at this point. Now, a reformed GSC game world is finally bringing Stalker 2 – Heart of Chernobyl to fans of the cult hit series. And although the early indications are pretty encouraging, the game looks drop-dead gorgeous in everything we've seen so far. It seems to be successfully capturing the creepy, unsettling aesthetic and atmosphere of the first game. And it's promising a massive, immersive, packed open-world experience. It's certainly an ambitious project, to say the very least, but if it does justice to those ambitions, this will be a special game. Shadow Warrior 3. Lo Wang is coming back in Flying Wild Hog and Devolver Digital's Shadow Warrior 3, and it's easy to understand why series fans are particularly excited about this game. Shadow Warrior's brand of high-octane and frantic combat is unlike anything else when it's firing on all cylinders, and with Shadow Warrior 3 to crank that up to 11 and streamline the experience by homing in on the action. It looks like things are bound to get crazier. Add that to the large emphasis on movement and traversal mechanics, a healthy dash of melee brutality, and some brutal environment action, and what we have is something that might just deliver some of the most satisfying first-person shooter combat in recent years. A Plague Tale: Requiem. Asobo Studios' A Plague Tale: Innocence was far better than most had expected it would be, emerging as one of 2019's highlights. With its sequel, the upcoming A Plague Tale: Requiem, the developer has the perfect opportunity to build on the first game's success and cement the series' popularity. We haven't seen a great deal of the game so far, but if it can capture that same blend of engaging, stealthy gameplay, type progression in an expertly paced linear experience, and excellent storytelling driven by endearing characters and their heartwarming interactions, it will be a worthy sequel. ARK 2. ARK 2's reveal trailer was bizarre. Even if you didn't see it live as it happened, it's still something to behold. In the cinematic trailer, you see Vin Diesel as a character that is later identified as Santiago. It features a mix of dinosaurs, lizard men, and weaponry, both of the primitive and futuristic variety. ARK 2 would be a console launch exclusive for the Series XS and is planned for a release this year. They said that the trailer shown was captured in-engine and showcased some features you can expect to see within the game itself. It also revealed that Vin Diesel was serving as a full executive producer besides starring in the game. That may seem random, but apparently he was a huge fan of the first title, logging over 1,000 hours onto it. Sons of the Forest. Endnight Games' The Forest was a survival game at heart, but it employed fairly strong dollops of horror and deep narrative. It seems that the developer is eager to revisit that particular brand of creepy. Its sequel, Sons of the Forest, seems to have more guns and cooperation. Could the sequel return to the same island, or is it visiting a similar location that might be tied to the first game? Whatever the case may be, it seems to have nailed the same atmosphere. Kingdom Battle proved a lot of critics wrong back when it first launched in 2017, and more than a few were pleasantly surprised by its solid turn-based strategy gameplay. As opposed to the first game, Sparks of Hope is going to have to live up to high expectations, but from what little we've seen so far of it, it seems to be headed in the right direction. Expanding upon the first game's tactics and exploring aspects in the best way forward for the sequel, and so far, it seems like that's exactly what they'll be doing. Here's hoping we don't have to wait too long before we see more of it. Bayonetta 3. The wait for Bayonetta 3 has been a ridiculously long time. Announced way back in 2017, Bayonetta 3 completely disappeared from the limelight after that. Now, however, we've finally seen the game in action, and it seems like the Umbral Witch's return is going to be well worth the wait. There aren't a lot of developers out there who can strike a better balance between ridiculous scale, awesome spectacle, and actual skill and challenge, as well as a platinum can with its character action games. And we can't wait to see them do more of that with Bayonetta 3. That's it, guys. We'll see you next time on GamingBolt. Thanks for tuning in.
And with that, we've reached the end of this video. Have anything to say? Let us know in the comments below. Also, we upload new videos every day on GamingBolt, so please consider subscribing as it really helps us out. Thanks for watching.